Go. This is Mike Naziri. I'm here with Ryan Lawson. He looks 4 times the size of me. I think he's doing something funny with his computer. And he has a podcast about lifting also. So I'm here to demolish his podcast.
Awesome.
What's your podcast about?
So it's called The Bar's Loaded. And, I just started. I've only done 1 episode, unfortunately. I literally just started about 2 weeks ago. I'm going to be recording my 2nd episode this Friday with a friend of mine who's a Navy veteran, who's also done bodybuilding. He's also actually owned and ran gyms, and he's working on his doctorate in physical therapy. So I'm excited for that episode.
That's cool. Yeah, I've had, what do I do now? I put 5 up. I have 3 more that I have recorded. But
okay.
I don't want to, I didn't want to put them out 2 in a day. You know what I mean? I want to space them.
Yeah.
But I've done some. Well, the first one was easy. I did my wife.
That's yeah.
She but I mean, she has a PhD in English. She's written books, and she's been powerlifting for 18 years.
Really?
Yeah. So and she's it's impressive. She weighs 104 pounds and she deadlifts 250.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was a fun interview. And then I interviewed my coach from college who got me into powerlifting. And he's an inspirational guy because he lost his leg maybe 8 years ago in a motorcycle accident, and he's still lifting.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's inspiring.
He was a good one. He was my 2nd interview. I don't remember. I can't remember the 3rd. The 4th was a really good one with the Kooten family. If you're into powerlifting, raw powerlifting, especially, her father was a powerlifter for a long time. He's their organization 100% Raw.
Yeah. Okay, I've heard of that.
He runs the rules committee, and but his daughter squatted 235 at 12 years old at 98 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, she did. There's a documentary about her called Supergirl.
Yeah.
And now she's 19 years old, but it was crazy when you watched her at 12 years old. I mean, she wasn't a big girl. She was a little 12-year-old girl, and somehow she pushed up 235. I don't know how to even explain it.
That's at 12 years old. I mean, that's unheard of. That's
yeah,
especially for a female. I mean,
she was competing against girls that were 40 years old. You know what I mean? That was very impressive. And her brother's getting really good too. Her brother's really getting up there. But yeah, that was a fun interview. Because I did all 3 of them. I did the brother, the sister, and the father all at the same time.
All on one Zoom meeting?
Yeah, Zoom. Yeah, it was fun.
That's cool, man. That's awesome.
What else? I just did somebody he was a powerlifter in Iraq, in Baghdad. That was fun because we were joking around, how was it training? IEDs going off and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it was good. He had a good sense of humor about it. I wasn't sure how he was going to take the joke. I was joking with him. I said, it's really upsetting to see you lifting in kilos. With all the tax dollars we spent bombing your country, and you're still lifting in kilos. He thought it was funny. I think.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. You see how far you can push the envelope?
Yeah, I try.
Yeah. Oh, shoot.
With you, let's see if I can think of something. It would be interesting to see if you come and try and break me in half. You're a big dude.
Nah, it's all love, man. It's I think this stuff's awesome. I think our sport and our in our industry, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about it. I think a lot of people they have their own opinions that are formed, and I'm sure you probably see it. I think people think that like we just go walk around waiting to chew on a bus tire or something. Like we're all mentally fucked up, and we're not. Like I'm a family man. I have a wife. I have 3 kids. I have a wife who's 5'2", 130 pounds, and she runs ship. I mean, I say that jokingly, but my wife is must be a tough woman, and but I'm a regular, I am in the Army full time. I work a full-time job. Powerlifting doesn't pay my bills.
I thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I do it because I love it and I enjoy it, and we get to connect. I get to connect with people like you, that maybe otherwise we wouldn't have a conversation. Powerlifting may be the base of our conversation, but we'll probably find out that we have a lot in common.
A question, like I have like a master sheet of like questions to ask, I try not to just ask question after question, but it's, it's tough. Like I'm trying to get more fluid, but like one of my questions is like what's like a misconception about powerlifting that you'd like to like dispel? Like, and you actually you started hitting it. You were talking about that.
I think me personally, a myth that I would like to see dispelled is, for the most part, we're pretty humble, loving people. I think you have your jerks in anything, right? I mean, nothing's perfect, and I mean, there's some jerks in powerlifting, yeah, but there's also I would say it's safe to say about 80 to 85% of powerlifters are great people.
Yeah, I competed in a few different sports, and this has been the best, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you got like Ed Cohen. If you were competing at a meet, Ed Cohen's the best in the world, and you asked him to wrap your knees, he would come and wrap your knees.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's the culture of the sport.
Yeah. When and how did you get into powerlifting?
So, I initially, I'll go back a little ways. So I was 14 years old. I got put in the hospital by 3 kids. I got beat unconscious, brass knuckles. Got out. I got out of the hospital. My father, I recovered. It was a horrible thing, but my dad was like, "Hey, like you need something to you need an outlet." So I had a punching bag, but he bought me a weight set, and I was always interested in lifting weights. I never really knew what I was actually doing. I was just like lifting weights. When I was 16, 17, I benched 300. I was like, wow, and people were telling me that I didn't know, but people that were older than me were like, that's really good. So I also played sports a lot throughout my life. Fast forward to my mid 30s, I think I watched a video of Pete Rubish deadlifting on YouTube. I happened to find it it came across on my radar, and I started watching it. And then a friend of mine locally was just starting out in like coaching, and I didn't know he had been powerlifting for a little while. And 2016, I started like squatting. It was squat, bench, dead. When I was like, all right, those are the 3 movements I got to work on. And I competed for the first time October of 2017. I always knew, even like my friends were like, Ryan Strong, you're so strong, you're so strong. And I didn't know there was a place where I could actually see how strong I was and I could put it to the test. And then I learned about powerlifting.
Yeah, I got the opposite strength story. Everyone told me you're not strong enough, but I did it anyway. So I have 0 records, and I've won a couple first places because there's no one else in my weight class. So my coach used to say, hey, listen, if no one else had the balls to go and compete, that's their problem. You won.
That's true.
Do you have any records
So I have, so right now, well, last night I haven't checked in a little bit, but in RPS for the military class, I have in the 275s, I have the squat, bench, dead, and total record.
What's your weight class?
So I was in the 75s. My last meet was October 11th of last year, and I weighed in at 258. So I was in the 75s. I'm currently walking around right now at 275. So I put on a little bit of weight since then. Not trying to put on weight, I just did. But yeah, so I mean, numbers. Everyone wants to know the numbers, right? So my best squat is 710. My best bench is 445, and my best deadlift is 710. 1865 is my best total.
Everybody wants to know my numbers, and I won't tell them.
Why?
Because it's so little.
Hey, man, it's not, what do you weigh though? What's your weight?
I weigh 180 pounds.
So I mean, you got to put it's all perspective,
Well, my only good lift is a you guys don't have it in RPS. Is the strict curl.
I saw some of your videos, on Instagram. You working on?
Yeah, I like it.
You trying to beat CT Fletcher's record, or?
Yeah. Well, he's a big dude. I mean, he's a heavy dude too. So I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. For in the 181s, I have it's I mean, it's not like a great strict curl, but like it's one that's not embarrassing, but yeah. So strict curl I like. It's a lot of fun because it's usually you get to the meet site or the hotel or whatever on Friday night, and they do it like at night on Friday. It's a fun thing to do before you go out to eat, and then the next day you have the meet. I like it.
Yeah.
Some people running meets in Canada in 100% raw have been doing an overhead press. That's a whole bunch of fighting over that in this organization about how to judge it and how I think it's almost unjudgeable because they're saying now they do it with they want no body movement, but
I think you're probably gonna run into the same thing with that we see in powerlifting, as I'm sure you've seen enough. You've been around enough, and you've seen it where it's like someone gets a good squat, that squat wasn't to depth, or someone gets a big deadlift, a big pull, and it's like, no, that was a soft lockout. And at the end of the day, if you got two whites, you got two whites. We can argue about it. It's like if you follow football at all, it's like the Dez Bryant Green Bay Packers playoffs, catch no catch, where Dez caught the ball. They said he didn't catch the ball, and here we are all these years later. Everybody says no, it was a catch, or it was not a catch. Like people still argue about that, but and I'm sure with strict curl is probably going to be the same thing. If we could, it would be nice to have a standard and have things regulated, because maybe the hard thing about these sports is it costs you time and money. You don't make money in these sports.
The strict curl is pretty easy to judge. I mean, it's just your heels can't go past the line. Your butt and your shoulders got to stay on the pad, and it's got to come up to around your neck. And there was one thing that guys were doing that they came up with, and they had to make a rule for. Guys were going like that with the weight.
Yeah, like
kind of like walking it up, and they had to make a rule against your shoulders had to stay the same. But yeah, now it's pretty solid, but I like it. And hey, with the military and everything, how do you consistently lift? Is it hard?
No, I'm very blessed. I work so I work a 4-10 schedule. I work Tuesday to Friday, 7 to 5. So I train at night. Monday, like today's my day off, I'll go squat at 5:30 with no issues really. Fortunately I don't have little young kids or toddlers. Mine are all teenagers, and so they don't need a whole lot from me and my wife at this point. But it's just my training schedule is, I'm very lucky for my work schedule and everything. So
every once in a while, like I'll take a squat out of the rack, and my youngest daughter's 8. She'll like open the door and be like, "Mommy, like get up, dude."
Yeah, right. Like, well, you don't want her to get hurt, obviously, and you don't want to get hurt. And
I want to get my lift. I want her out of it.
Yeah, definitely. Did you build the squat rack?
No, I just have modified them to do different things. Like,
okay.
So like, can you see like on the bottom where that pipe is welded in?
Yep.
So okay. Like, you know, I had to drill through there and weld the pipe into for the bands that tie the bands from the bottom. And what else have I done to them? Oh, the my gray one, like that one I bought. That one I had to cut because it was too tall.
To
So
fit, yeah.
I had to cut it to fit. You know, I've been getting pretty good at welding. I was always good at like woodwork, and lately I'm getting good at welding. It's a useful thing to know how to do.
Yeah, my oldest is going to school for welding right now, so
Yeah, it's real handy. Like, yeah.
yeah, it's a good trade.
What kind of training method do you do? Like a periodization? How many weeks of periodization?
So yeah, it's so like for instance, actually this week is a deload week for me. This would be week 5 of this block. It's basically, so Greg Quinor is my coach. And as you know, he's very good friends with Corey Swede Burns.
Mm-hmm.
So he runs very much a fit set style type of training, you know, where it's like you're doing, like for instance, bench was 4 doubles. It was 8, like let's say last Tuesday, to give an example, was it was 4 doubles at 85%,
Yeah.
which came out to 340, and then an AMRAP after the 4 doubles.
Yeah, that's like almost like a little bit of a Russian method, but like a new, like the AMRAP method.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of a mix, but you don't, and then like, but then he'll do things like, then like deadlift day Thursday was 70, I think it was 75%, a set of 8 with as few sets as possible. So if you had to do 6 and 2, 4 and 4, 5 and 3, you know, whatever, the goal is to obviously try to knock out all 8 reps in one set, which, you know, deadlift's my lift. It's my best lift. It always has been. Coincidentally, it's not my favorite. I don't hate it, you know, but it's just the one that I happen to be really good at. So, you know, 560 for 8 wasn't too bad.
Yeah. Let's see. You started training when? 2017, you said?
2016 is when I actually started powerlifting. All right, without really.
So, all right, so almost 4 years, 5 years now. So if you can go back, right? 'Cause that's a long, pretty much like you're like in the sport, like to the beginning. Like, what would you tell yourself?
The 2 things that I would have told myself in the beginning would have been fix your diet and get more sleep.
Yeah, sleep. Sleep is important.
Definitely. Those would have been the 2. Programming's easy. You find a program and you just stick with it, because if you wait long enough, it's going to work eventually. You know what I mean? That's my opinion. I think, you know, I mean, whether you pick the cube method or you pick FitSet or you do, you know, Wellness 531, I mean, you could do the Lillibridge, you know, program. Like, they're all based on the same principles. You know, any of those guys that are well known in powerlifting, you know, then you're probably going to have success if you just give it a chance to work. But people program jump, and, you know, they skip days, or they eat terrible, they don't sleep enough, they don't manage their stress well, you know, and then they wonder why they can't perform, you know. So
I ask this to everybody. What's your view on steroids?
My view is, I've never been asked that before. I think they have their place. I think they have their place if you're going to compete at a certain level. I know a lot of people will. You have the certain federations, I won't name them, you know, where it's like completely taboo, and I just wish people were more honest about it, and I wish they were more honest about what it means to be quote unquote natty, you know, because if you're taking SARMs or you're taking a test booster, you know, I think that, I mean, this is a topic we could probably talk about for a little while. If we really
I don't even know what SARMs is. What is that? I don't know much about it.
From what I understand, SARMs are basically legal steroids. They're like a snatch. They're not quite as effective, but they're pretty damn close. And you can buy them. You could they're legal to sell in certain states and certain areas, depending, like sometimes you can buy them online, you know. Um, I'm not, completely against it. I think guys still work really hard. A lot of people's, if you look at kind of a different sport, but look at bodybuilding, Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Phil Heath, all those guys, yeah, they probably running something. Yeah, they probably are. But you can't take away from their work. And I think that's where the confusion comes in. People think that if you take that, then you don't have to work anymore,
Yeah, no, yeah. You have to, I mean, if you're going to be, I know Arnold Schwarzenegger would always say, "Oh, if you put the time in, the dedication, you could be a champion." That's not true. I've put
No,
I've
bullshit.
put in all the time in the world, and I'm not a champion. So it's but like I've gotten better. You know what I mean? I've gotten
Right.
I've I go to a competition to beat what I did at the last competition.
Right.
That's what I'm there to do. I'm there to be myself. I'm not worried about anybody else.
You want to be, yeah. I mean, my thought is there's probably less people taking gear than most people think, right? Like if you actually went through, in the sport, any sport, I mean, UFC, NFL, NBA, MLB, there's probably less people taking things than other people would think.
You think in the NFL? I don't know nothing about it. I'm not like
I mean they want to paint this picture that like they're they're held to a high standard and they do all this testing, and I mean if you think there's ways around everything, so if you
there's books on it that how the Russians went during the Soviet, well, not even the Russians when they were the Soviet Union, how they went about beating the steroid stuff, and how not that when very recently the Russians, they weren't allowed to compete in the Olympics, and it was because they rented the adjoining house, right? The house that was touching each other to this, and they had like a little sliding thing at the urinal. You know, they're very clever.
Yeah. So I mean, just turn around and say, I think it should be left up to the lifter, if at their discretion. And I think if you, as I've heard of people competing in federations and saying, well, I'm pretty sure if I go in the non-tested division, then that's not fair because obviously it's non-tested. So people could be on stuff, they couldn't be on stuff. And I think you should just put your head down and work. Like if you want to, I personally know of a guy who's very strong. I mean, he puts up some insane numbers and he's drug free. And a lot of people think he's on something and he's not, so.
No, you can't
like
on steroids because they're good. You can't. That's
right. Which is not, I don't think that's fair either. You know what I mean? You're like, oh yeah, he's got to be taking something. It's like, well, maybe he's just that strong and he works that hard. The guy that I'm talking about sleeps 10 hours a day and it's on top of his diet and his recovery, and he's just an animal.
And also, there's genetic factors to it also. He probably just genetically gifted also. That's probably that's part of it too.
Yeah, my dad's youngest brother, my uncle, he doesn't do anything with it now because he's grown up. He's got a family. He's an electrician, has his own business, very successful. But when we were younger, he played the guitar and he was so good. Like he could play, like he'd listen to Van Halen and he would listen to it and he would start playing it note for note within 10 minutes. He just had an insane ear for music. And
there's the people that are just gifted for certain things.
Yeah.
For strength, for singing, for playing instruments, there's some people are gifted in different things.
I think too that people sometimes don't see what you do. They maybe see you at the gym or they may see you post a lifting video, but they don't see you stressing out because you're like, I got to make sure I get my water in today. I got to get all my meals in today. Like today after this, I'm going to go cook my meals for the week because I got to prep my food for the week so I'm not eating junk when I'm at work. And, I'm like, I'll be sitting on the couch with my wife and I look at my watch. It's like, or I got to all right, honey, I got to go to bed. I got a heavy training day tomorrow, you know, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I can speak for myself, but I know a lot of other very successful lifters do the same thing. They sleep, they make sure they get their sleep in. And, you know, people see them post a video squatting 900 pounds, like a guy like Brandon Allen.
Yeah.
You-
No, so you have to,
you know,
have to recover.
Yeah, 100%. So,
All right. So would you consider yourself like on a team with your coaches? Like you guys compete as a team?
what, yeah, yeah, I mean,
All right.
team for Nora.
So our team was founded in 1978. And since then, if your birthday happened to fall on a squat day, you had to squat in your underwear. That's the team tradition. You have to do it. All right. What team tradition do you guys have?
That's your guys' team tradition?
It is what it is. I mean, I say, you know, I wasn't the coach. I didn't make it up.
Wow.
It is fun. It's a good one.
That's funny. That's funny. I don't think we have a team tradition, actually.
You guys got to think one up.
Okay.
Makes you feel a lot closer, you know, little things like that. You have
That's cool.
special team thing. Doesn't have to be being naked with each other, you know, it could be something that, you know. All right. Do you got RPS? The competitions are in kilos?
They're in pounds.
They're in pounds? That's nice. That's real nice. I hate having to, I have the clipboard and have to keep looking and trying to figure out what I did in pounds and as a kilos. The pain in the butt.
What federation do you compete in?
100% raw, it's called.
Oh, that's the federation. Okay, gotcha.
Every person I talk to thinks the same thing, that it's 100% raw. The name is 100% raw.
Okay.
There's it's in the Northeast, really. I mean, there's some around the world, but I don't think there's any on the West Coast or anything like that.
Okay. All right.
Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut. And before that, it was a small organization. Well, the organization I started lifting in when I was in college was the Anti-Drug Athletes United. And I'm pretty sure that was the first raw organization. That was Al Siegel. He made that up. And the reason why, like our coach, you know, there was no raw back in the day. Raw is like a newer thing.
Yeah, it was all year.
Everything was single ply and wraps and when we were in college, we had a team of like over 30 people, and we were in Brooklyn, and a lot of kids, they barely had enough money to pay their tuition, and so you know it was, and most of the kids on the team, we were trying to get them, and we were telling them like, listen, you got to get a belt, you got to get a belt. They didn't have the money to buy a belt. You know, in the suit and wraps and all this stuff, and so it wasn't going to happen. And our coach knew this guy Al Siegel. He started this organization, ADAU, and that's how we wound up going there, because no one had money for suits and wraps.
I mean, I believe it, you know, and I mean, I have an SPD belt that I just bought after 5 years. It's a $230 belt.
Yeah.
The plan is for it to be the last belt I ever buy.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, because they're built to last forever. And you don't have to. I mean, you can buy one on Amazon for $40, you know. But I get it, especially when you're going to college. You don't have any money.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, do I eat this week or do I buy a lifting belt?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, we had some guys. I mean, I had a guy she was on the team. He was putting himself through college. He was working at Starbucks. He had a wife. He had a kid. He was destitute, man. He had nothing, you know. So you know, and we didn't make him go, you know, we took him out to the meet and we paid his meat fees, but he, you know, so that's how we wound up going raw, and that's how we learned, and that's how we grew up in it. 18 years later, you know, that was 2001, you know.
Yeah.
But Yeah.
So,
This, I've been around the sport for, since 2001.
oh damn, so a while. So 20 years? Yeah.
Almost. Yeah. And, I really like the sport. There's been times where like I've like hit walls, and I get discouraged and stop for a little while and then start it again. Maybe like 2 or 3 times that's happened to me. You know, Probably, when I think back about it, it's probably from diet. I think why I hit walls. I think I also mainly, I just was eating just whatever I wanted, and then like when I started to gain weight, like I have a little bit of like an issue, like with the, I guess you would call it like a body image issue. You know what I mean? I feel fat, and then that's it. I'd stop eating.
I can relate to that.
I just stop eating, and people are like, "Oh my God, how'd you lose so much weight?" Be like, I stopped eating.
I starved myself.
Yeah,
Right. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
and that's not going to help you lifting. And it's not good for keeping muscle on when you shed so much muscle. I think when you drop like that, and
Yeah.
it's just not good for your body. So mentally, it's not good. It's not good.
I've done 2000 2019 I competed and I cut weight. I was like walking around. I was probably walking around at like 260, solid 260, 258 maybe in the morning. Um, and I wanted to come down to the 42s to qualify for the Arnold. I needed 1725 to qualify at that weight in that weight class. And I did a water cut. And man, by the time I started Monday, Friday night came in, Saturday afternoon, I had to weigh in. And Friday, so I don't know if you've ever done one before.
No, I know about it.
So,
Yeah, I've
so,
seen.
so, so you start, so Monday, you start at 2.5 gallons of water. Then you go to 2 gallons on Tuesday, gallon and a half on Wednesday, gallon on Thursday, half gallon on Friday. And through the whole week, you only have carbs with breakfast, Monday to Thursday. And then you eat your regular meals with no carbs through the rest of the day. Then Friday comes, you have that last half gallon of water you can drink. You have no carbs at all. And you don't eat or drink anything after 3 o'clock until you weigh in the next day.
Yeah.
So I was Friday, like 6 o'clock ish. I finished. Yeah. So I was done my water by 3. I mean, after you drink 2.5 gallons, a half gallon, it's nothing.
Yeah.
And I ate no carbs, and I was very careful with what I ate too that day. And then my wife was like, it was like Friday night at the house, and you're like, she's like, should I not eat dinner in front of you? And I'm like, no. I'm like, no, like eat dinner, whatever. Like, just go about things normally, And I was still a little on the heavy side. I was like I think Friday night I was like 240, 245 point, like point something, like 0.6. So I'm like, shit. I'm like, so I put 2 hoodies on, 2 pairs of sweats on, put a towel at the bottom of the bathroom door when she took a shower, and I sat in there on the toilet with the hood's over my head.
Yeah.
To sweat out more weight. I woke up in the morning, I'm like, shoot. I went to bed. It was like still 244. I'm like, oh, damn, texting my coach. I'm like, stressed out. And my, like 2 of my really good friends that I live with, they're like, calm down. Like, you'll be fine. Woke up in the morning, got on the scale, 239. I was like, and that was like 8 in the morning. I didn't weigh in till like 1 o'clock. So my wife drove out to weigh-ins because the meet was an hour and 10 away. And I'm laying in the passenger seat looking like death. Like, and I waited naked. And after I was walking around, I had a bottle of Pedialyte in my hand. And once I made weight, I started drinking Pedialyte. I go to my wife and I'm like, let's go get something to eat. I need to eat. I got to put weight back on. But that's not like, even in that instance, and I took a risk.
Yeah.
I squatted 635. I think I benched 415, 420, 425. And then like, no, I'm sorry, 440. I benched 440 because I had a 5-pound fear this past me. Yeah. So I benched 440 and then I pulled 685. So it's like, like it was a good meet, but it's not to your point, that's not healthy. Like you really shouldn't do that, you know?
Well, it's like that's why I'm not a fan of early weigh-ins because it I think it almost promotes that like you can do that you weigh in Friday night and then you have all this time to recover and eat till the next day. You know, I see people, you know, they eat like animals right after, you know, they weigh in, you know. I'm like, I don't know. Whatever. I don't run the meets. I want to one day. I'd like to run a meet.
Be a coach or be a judge.
Oh, I am, but I'd like to actually like run. I want to do like a Times Square meet, you know, at like the
Oh, okay.
mascot Times Square, you know, something like that in New York City.
That'd be cool.
You know, I don't know. I don't know why I've always had this in my head. I want to do a Times Square competition.
Like in the middle of Times Square.
Yeah, maybe because I worked there for so long as a police officer.
Oh, okay. You're a cop.
Yeah. Um, do you have a faith that's gotten you through life and lifting?
Um, I mean, you talking? Am I religious or?
Yeah, a religious, a faith in something. Yeah.
No, not really. I can't say that I'm not a religious person. But do I have a faith? I think, I believe in people. I believe that people are good, and I think to answer that question, it's kind of like why am I why powerlifting, right? Why are you powerlifting? What are you doing? Like it's easy for people to look at you and go like you're wasting your time, you're beating your body up. Why are you going through all this? And you don't make any money on it. Um, and I think it's just a constant belief into trying to be better than I was yesterday,
Yeah.
doing the things that are hard. And I think I try to carry that over to being a husband and being a father, like the discipline and the structure and the consistency and the small habits and the cues so I mean, if anything, I try to use it as my vehicle to be a better person. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you have any weaknesses, and what are they?
What kind of weaknesses?
Answer the question.
I mean, that's yeah. I mean, you know, my kids could pretty much get whatever they want from me at any given time. And I have 21, 16, and 14. So it's not because they're little, it's because they're my kids. And sometimes even my wife's like, hey, whoa, like back up, they're good, and then my wife can get certain things from me, but I might give her a little bit of pushback.
Yeah.
Whereas with my kids, I don't. I'm just like, I give in right away. I'm like, okay. I have two boys and a girl. My daughter's the baby. So it's like, but they all equally, like, I want to give them everything. Like, I want to literally I want them to all have the world. The oldest he's in welding school right now. He just turned 21 last week. He's like, he's crushing it in life. He's like, works full time, goes to school full time. Like he's on top of his credit. He's like, cause I drilled it into his head. I'm like, you gotta have good credit in life. You gotta like, and the other day I'm like, I wanted to buy him like a new welding, like a welding bag to keep his welding helmet and stuff in. And my wife's like, he doesn't need that right now. I'm like, yes, he does. And she's like,
Oh, all right. Here's a tough question.
either way.
Tough
I'd say
question.
to answer the question, my
Do you prefer
what's
cats
that?
or dogs?
Dogs.
Dogs. Good. All right. This is crucial. Can you take lifting advice from a woman?
I could take lifting advice from a woman, but it's got to be. Can you? I mean, could you take lifting advice from Steffi Cohen?
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm not bring her up. That'll be an argument. Okay. So let's like my wife. I guess it's hard. It's real hard. Because well, imagine your wife was started powerlifting the same day as you. I don't know.
Well, all right. So here's a better point. And actually, to the last thing I said, if we had a separate conversation, you and I would probably find that we actually share some similar viewpoints on that particular person. But anyways, my wife, I had a problem when my butt would come off the bench. I'd be fine, I'd prep, everything would be great. I get into the bar, take the bar out, everything's good. I go to press, my ass cheek comes up. It's like, even when I was deployed, I would send lifting videos to her and she goes, "What's up with you?" She's like, "Well, you freaking fix your butt. Your butt comes up. You know what's going to happen? You come home and you compete again." And I'm like, and my wife is not a powerlifter. She's not a gym person at all, but she's not afraid to tell me when I'm screwing up. So, and I mean,
it's harder to hear it from your wife.
It is. It is hard to hear it from your wife. And then even like this last meet that I did, one of the judges is actually a good friend of mine and my wife's, and she's a female. She's also a powerlifter, and she is a very strict judge. It's not like, "Oh, we're friends, so I'm passing your lift." It's like, "Oh, we're friends, and I know what you're capable of, so you better bring it."
Yeah.
And the last meet, they were both talking after. They're like, Megan is my friend, and she goes to my wife. She goes, "Man, he's gotten so much better with his bench because I usually have to red light him because his butt comes up." So and your wife's a powerlifter, so
yeah, I'll send you her name on Instagram. It's at JM Naziri. Yeah, just at JM Naziri, and but hers is private, but she'll see who you are and let you join. But she doesn't post as much stuff as I do. I always bug her about posting stuff on Instagram because she'll go forever without posting anything, but she'll be looking every day, and I'm like, you're like an Instagram creep.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was like, no, that's like creeping around. I was like, no, you have to post. Yeah. I bug her to post.
Oh, that's awesome. If my wife was a powerlifter, I think that's probably what it would be like. Oh,
yeah, I think I post more videos of her lifting than she posts of herself lifting.
Yeah. That's awesome.
All right. Tough. People might want to talk about this one. Pooping, peeing, vomiting, blood coming out of your nose, passing out. Has any of those things happened to you while lifting?
I've had blood coming out of my nose on a couple occasions. I have not pooped myself. I have not vomited.
The peeing yourself is usually a girl issue.
Usually girls do that. I've come very, very close to passing out. Last summer when I was in prep, I was squatting, and I think I was only squatting like 565 or something like that for a single. And I braced like really hard. Like I braced, it came down, and I was like, it came up, and like literally as I was coming up, back up into the hooks, I was like, I felt myself go out for a second and come back. And fortunately, it was like I went to rack the weight, and I racked the bar, and I went to come up from under the bar, and I was like, I fell backwards, and like one of my friends caught me, but I didn't go out. But that was dangerous because that's 500 pounds that's over 500 pounds on a bar. If I go down, like even with the straps and there's people side spotting, and that's 500 pounds moving that you're not going to stop. So that's the closest I've come to
Yeah, I blacked out once at a competition. And I was so upset because it was going to be a PR deadlift, and I was so close to being up. I was like right there.
About to lock it out.
I was out, and I sort of black out a little bit here and there in the gym, but not like that. But and everybody got so scared and was nervous, and my wife was like, "He'll be fine. Just drag him off to the side.
Take the belt. Yeah, undo the belt. Let the blood
Okay,
pressure.
he'll be okay." But yeah, that, and then I have a hard time when I hit a PR deadlift, keeping the poop in. It's very hard.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, might be because I took 8 scoops of pre-workout too, but
Do you take pre-workout regularly?
yeah. I'm on a cap right now. I've capped myself at 4 scoops.
Jesus.
I went to this last competition, and I was like, well, I usually take 4 scoops of workout, and there's 4 lifts. So I'll just make one big scoop, 12 scoops, one big shake, and I'll drink it. By the time I'm done deadlifting, I'll finish it. And my wife didn't know I did this. And she was looking at me when the deadlift was going on. She was like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" She was like, "You look like a lobster." See how pale I am, right? I was
yeah,
like a tomato. I was like, yeah, 12 is too much.
Well, I guess you found the limit, right?
12 is too much. 12. Yeah, maybe next competition I'll do 6.
You're such a guy. How much caffeine can my body handle in an 8-hour period?
It's funny. I was interviewing that girl Naomi Cooten, and they're conservative. What do you think? Conservative Jews? You call them? Yeah, they follow all the rules and stuff. And so I asked her, do you take pre-workout? And she says, well, no, we can't take pre-workout because there's no kosher pre-workout, but we found a kosher caffeine pill. A pill. She didn't say pill or how to eat, but she was like, we found just kosher caffeine. I was like, well, that's the only important part anyway. I was like, all the other stuff in there is just nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool. I mean, I found I have a no stim, so I get the buzz, but I don't get because I work out late at night, and I'm a caffeine junkie, but for some reason, I also haven't really taken pre-workout for about 2 years now.
Well, you take it now, you're gonna feel like Superman.
Which I take it once in a while, but I took it once at trained at 6 o'clock, took a scoop, was like, okay, whatever. I feel good, got a little buzz, got a workout in, go home, hang out, whatever, go to bed like normal, take a shower, go to bed, hang out with the wife a little bit. And then because I'm big on my routine, my routines are the same, and I usually go to bed before her because she's more of a night owl. So I'm I kiss her, all right, I'm going to go to bed. Okay. And I wake up at 2 a.m. and I'm wide awake. And I was like, what is going on? And I'm she's like, what's wrong? And I'm I don't know. She goes, you always sleep like a rock. And I'm I took pre-workout. She goes, oh, what time? I'm 6 o'clock. She goes, yeah. When's the last time you took it? On your deployment? She's like, that was 3 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever. She's like, so now I'm I went a couple of one of my really good training partners, he's my brother. We went out to visit our buddy who opened the gym, and Juan takes pre-workout all the time. So he was like, hey, you want some? And I'm it's Saturday morning. Yeah, I'll take some because I know I'm not gonna I have the rest of the day to get it out of my system. But
do you ever take the 3D?
Have you? How bad is it?
So good. It was like, let me tell you, the whole NYPD was on meth. The whole NYPD was on meth. Everyone was taking Jack 3D. They were taking scoops and scoops and scoops of it, and it had meth in it. And everyone was getting huge. And this was before they were this was after they started drug testing for steroids. There was before like 2010 or so, they weren't drug testing for steroids. So let me tell you, when they started drug testing for steroids, like the size of like a lot of these cops, I was like, whoa, it came down big time. Uh, yeah, the Jack 3D, man, every cop was on the 3D, man. It was awesome. It's awesome. It was like, I mean, it was like being on meth. And then they took it away. They said you can't use it. They took it away. They banned it in the United States, man. Oh, and then it became such a hard time in the NYPD too, because all of a sudden, right, they went from not caring about steroids to all of a sudden they had a list like this long of stuff that you couldn't use, and it was all stuff that was in GNC. So
Yeah.
Cops were just like going crazy trying to figure out what they were allowed to take.
Jeez.
You know, basically anything in GNC that said like testosterone booster or weight loss thing, like you like, well, there's no good. Like you can't.
Right.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And anything that says meth in it.
Yeah, it's not allowed, right?
Like it's not. That's not. I mean, it's like dimethylene, but like when you just go like that and it says meth.
I can imagine a bunch of NYPD cops.
There was one time when we were on a meal break. We went to work out, took our jack, and I don't remember what the call was, but we had to run at it. Some cop needed help or something like that, and it didn't turn out good for the person that was fighting the cop. We were all on jack.
Like everybody's ready to go. Like
we were pre-workout, ready to fight. This was in the North Bronx. It was bad. It was bad.
Jeez, man.
Well, I started in Times Square, and then I went to the West Village in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Awesome place to work, man. Oh, so much fun. So much fun. Let me tell you, the first 911 call I had when I was in the 6th precinct, which was actually was in a car, not on a foot post, was to a fight in this person's apartment, and it was an orgy that turned into a fist fight. So basically, one girl got mad that the boyfriend was paying too much attention to the other girl and started beating on each other. It was just everybody was like, I want her arrested. I want her arrested. And I was like, no one's getting arrested. Everyone's just going home. Just go home.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was the West Village. Crazy place. All right, warming up and stretching. You warm up and stretch.
So I don't do a lot of stretching.
Good. Right answer. I hate stretching.
Yeah, I don't like stretching. I have warm-ups for me are what am I doing that day? Or what am I warming?
My wife will get on the elliptical machine, and then she'll start doing this dynamic stretching, and then she'll get if she's squatting, then she'll get under the bar, do the bar for a couple reps, work her way up to her set. She'll warm up. But me, I just get onto the bar and just start warming up at the bar.
Yeah, I have so for me, I have a lot of lately I've got a lot of elbow pain, which is, if you know anything about if a little bit about the function of the body, elbow pain is usually coming from your thoracic.
I know this is between the lower arm bone and the upper arm bone. That's all I know about it.
So my pain is back here, which is actually at the long head of the tricep, which it's actually your thoracic spine is that what's all connected is usually where it's actually stemming from. So, I work on thoracic mobility with a foam roller, usually every day.
My wife's got this ball. She rolls on it. It's an ancient torture device.
Yeah. I go to physical therapy once a week. Actually, I have today at 3:30. I go to my PT guy once a week, and we work on different things, and that's one of the things that we do.
Oh, I'll never use it. Hey, and then it's the where's the roller things? Oh, I'll go get it. Don't go anywhere. Stay right there. Oh, here it is. She's crazy. She takes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, she puts it in her shoulder, like here, and she rubs against the wall, and then
like.
And then this thing. Does this look like something nice? This look.
What?
It's a torture.
You know what? I was using that last week on the back of my tricep. Back here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Great.
Like
you did great. And she can take. If she gets knots in her back, and she'll have me work on them, and she'll try and if she touches my back, I scream. I can't. I can't do it.
I like how you're honest.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
I can't do it. I can't. I just can't. It hurts too bad. All right. What's the dumbest thing you ever seen in the gym?
Oh man. I saw a guy. Two things come to mind recently. I saw a guy over the summer. He was in the cables and he had his legs like spread eagle, standing up, but his legs were like in a spread eagle.
Oh, you like the crux like cable, like two cables?
Yeah, but he was on with the two cables, but
Yeah.
he was on one. He was only using one side, and he was like, like legs were like spread eagle, almost like the Michael Jordan pose.
Yeah.
And he had like one hand out in front of him, like stretched out, and then like he had, the handle, the plastic handle, the cable. Yeah, like the one hand, like behind his back, and was like violently like swinging his arm out, and I'm like, that doesn't put your shoulder in a very good position, and like, what's the benefit of that? I'm like, I don't. And I was like, should I go and say something to him and try to correct him? And I was like, no, I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna let this be.
You wait till someone like that asks. You can't tell someone.
Yeah, I'm like, just looking at it hurt my shoulder. I'm like, that looks painful. It doesn't even look comfortable. But that was pretty good. And then recently I saw somebody deadlifting in the Smith machine.
Oh, I had to think about it for a second.
Right? Like at my gym, which has a deadlift platform. So I'm like, why are you doing this?
But trying to even think, right?
How do you, because it keeps it in how do you move? Like, I mean, you could lift the bar.
The bar kind of moves a little bit in the deadlift, right?
So
I never seen anyone do that. Yeah, that's weird.
It was a girl too. Like she looked like she was in decent shape. Like maybe she had an idea what she was doing, but
maybe
I just kept walking.
Doing it there.
Maybe.
But that's the easiest thing to be safe on the deadlift. You just drop it.
I know. Like if you just let go. If it's not moving. Like I don't know. What about you?
I mean, I've done a lot of stupid stuff.
What have you
just recently, I have the Duffalo bar, the cambered bar, and you know how like on a regular bar you could leave 2 plates on one side and no plates on the other, but not on that bar.
Yep. Oh, I know.
I found out violently about that one. That ball went flying. Thank God nobody got hit. Usually, I'm like notorious for misloading bars. Like I'll like rack the weight and see and you know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? I put 2.5 on one side and then put the 2.5 on the other. I'm like I didn't do it. I'm notorious for that.
Yeah.
I seen someone knock their tooth out with a
really?
Yeah, the thing to hold the to pick up the deadlift bar. It was an old handmade, complicated one. It just was. It picked up one side at a time, and it didn't like lock down or anything either. Like you just had to keep holding
Right.
it. Like if it slipped out of your hand, it was went flying and it knocked the tooth out. Yeah. So I seen someone knock a tooth out with that. That was probably the funniest one. Um, yeah, yeah, that's the funniest one. I guess the tooth get knocked out. Okay, AMRAPs. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
As many
Yep.
reps as possible. Okay, so you have a coach setting up your plan, right? Right. I think we might have went over this. Did we talk about this? AMRAP? No. Does he tell you you're gonna bench 315 for 5 sets of 3? Or does he say like today you're doing 315 for 5 sets and you go in there and you get 5 sets for as many as you can?
Well, I guess we kind of did talk about it. So basically, it's structured that like you'll have the AMRAP is usually at the end of
Right.
your sets, but the thing is, I mean, I'm not sure what your angle is for the question, but
No. So you're not AMRAP. You. I mean, you do, but you have it planned. You do it in certain times at the end. Have you ever bombed out of a meet?
I have not.
Yeah, I have. It's not. Oh, it's a horrible feeling.
I could only imagine. I, I that's a hard one, and I think I feel bad for people, I'm not saying that it's never going to happen to me, but I like to think that the way that my coach is Greg Panora, and I mean the way that he structures the programming is like you shouldn't bomb out. You should hit your openers.
My
You
open
know,
so light, so light. I could do it for my openers are what I can get for 5. Right, that's what my openers are.
yeah. So it should be easy.
It was easy, except I was doing these stupid box squats, and my brain was so trained to go to that exact height, and I
So
just
that
did
that's
not get below there. And I don't know what your opinion. I know everybody seems to love box squats. I had a bad experience with them. I hate them.
um, I think they have their place. I think they're great for you'll see a lot of multiplay guys use them. Very, very rarely does Greg put them in here and there. And usually it's like a high box after your top set, so you're smoking your quads.
Yeah.
I think they're great for recovery for someone like if you have like a knee injury or something like that. I think they're good for that because you don't have to,
That's all I did for 8 weeks for squats was box squats before the competition.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah. It didn't work out well. So yeah, I bombed out of that meet. It was not a heavy, like it had nothing to do with how heavy the squat was. My brain was just so programmed to not go below there. But like I said, that was all I was doing. I probably was doing them wrong.
Yeah.
I just heard of the concept and started doing them. Let's see. You're a young guy. What's your stance on mirrors and music in the gym?
I will say the one benefit to a mirror would be right in front of you when you're squatting. Because you can pick yourself apart. Like if you're doing a set of 3 and your first rep looks like shit, you can be like, whoa, you come back up, reset for a second, be like, okay, Ryan, I gotta fix that. And then squat again. And okay, that was better. So I will say I think that's the only benefit to a mirror or even deadlifting. If it's in front of you, you can watch yourself. Music. I mean, I think music is awesome. I mean, that's what they make headphones for if you don't like the music at the gym, but as far as like the whole staring at yourself in the mirror and the gym bro and so my gym I have to say this. So I'm very spoiled. My gym has 3 parts to it. There's the front part, which is the commercial part of the gym, which has all the cardio equipment and all the cable rows. And there's some actually competition, like Elite FTS competition benches out there. Then there's the middle, which is the CrossFit part. And then there's the back, which is the 4 and 3 barbell club, which is the powerlifting part.
You have to walk through CrossFitters to get to that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I know, it's, you know, I try to, and they're nice and they wave and they say hi, and, and I know a couple of them, and, but
They have to,
yeah,
because you'll crush them.
yeah, it's funny because you walk in there with your bag, and your hoodie, you're like, and I want the bathroom's in the front. So like I walk up with like my elbow sleeves on, my wrist wraps, and they're just like, you're so, the owner of the gym, me and my buddy walked in the other day, he goes, oh, there's the two guys that always make me feel small.
I just, yeah.
So
CrossFit. Yeah. Actually, this is a question I ask people. Why do you hate CrossFit?
So, see, I'm trying to be a nicer person these days, but like if CrossFit, if someone was like overweight and wanted to get in shape and they found CrossFit and CrossFit made them healthy, then obviously that's a good thing, right? But for someone who's any type of athlete and any type of strength athlete, or, if you take this seriously, the reason that I hate CrossFit is because I don't know how they quantify like the success in the sport.
Doing more of those pull-up things.
Yeah. And I'm like, what is that even? Like I feel like with powerlifting, it's like we have a gauge. You know what I mean? We have, even if you just keep a notebook and you're like, hey, okay, like how have I, like get a planner and write your workouts in it for the year and see how you've progressed.
I just don't feel like I could talk to them. Like I just like, like I could talk to anyone that powerlifts. I could talk to I could talk to a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I could talk to an Olympic lifter. I can talk to a strongman, and then like a CrossFit person will come in and I'll just be like, I don't know what to say to you.
You're like, I got nothing.
Yeah. Well, now I don't see like there's anything in common other than you come to a gym. Also,
we happen to come to the same gym. Like,
I don't know. I have to get a CrossFit. I have to get a real good CrossFit person on, and I'm going to be like, all right, I'm not going to say anything. Go ahead, speak.
I mean, if you're talking like, there's a guy named Dan Bailey who's like filthy. Like that dude is like, he's nasty. Like if you're talking somebody like that, it's like, okay, like top level CrossFitters are usually pretty good. And you got to give them credit where credit's due, but like, I don't know. I that's the only sport that's in this realm that it's like, what do you guys actually do? Like, because nobody knows what you do.
Yeah. Oh, the mirrors in the gym thing and the music. Start interviewing people that have been in powerlifting since before like 1980. Like if you say you like that mirror in front of a squat rack, they will go crazy on you. They'll go crazy. Like I'm telling you, cuckoo. They're like, no, not in the gym. Never, no mirrors ever. And music too. They don't like music either. Oh, it drives them crazy.
Which is funny because even like West Side, they play music there. Back in the day, they had like
I never interviewed Louis Simmons, but I've interviewed a lot of I've talked to a lot of people that are pretty old and they're in powerlifting, and they're like they just can't stand the music.
It's like not happening.
Well, here's the thing with music, right? In the gym, right? Because I've been to a lot of meets, and so I used to train with no music because that's how my coach trained us. Anyway, so I'm in my basement, I'm by myself. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna use some music. And I was listening with music, lifting with music. I had like these, like when I would do my heavy sets, I'd put like these like certain songs on. And then what happened was I went to the competition and I got onto the bar and the song wasn't on. And I was like, oh my, like everyone's looking at me. Like, you just felt like you were in this void. And like, so like now, like when I get close to like the competition and stuff like that, like I'll turn the music off and do my set. And then I'll put the music back on. Cause it's just, because it's not there when you're competing. That's my
No.
that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I really have gotten really good at going into an extreme void state when I walk up to the bar on the platform. Like I can hear things going on. I know it's hard to explain because some people are like, oh, is it like an out of body experience? It's like, no, but yeah, but no. Like I can hear I know my wife is there recording, and she always says the same thing, and I can hear her say it, but I'm like, I'm about to get on it. Like, it's like, I'm about to move this motherfucker. Like, I need to get under this bar. I need to get in my zone. And she always says, let's go, Lawson. She always says that.
Yeah.
Let's go, Lawson. And I'm like, it's kind of like, once I hear that, but I'm already like, yep, like I'm there, like so, and there's music playing. It could be, I don't know, it could be Pantera, it could be Motley Crue, it could be whatever they're playing. They play like RPS is family friendly. So it's like, they don't play anything super heavy, but it's pretty much like a modern, like a mix with rock and like 80s rock.
So the organization we go to doesn't play music.
Yeah. So so that's probably better for you than to train with no music. Cause you don't.
All right. Cheering, like positive talk versus negative talk. You see it. Maybe you've seen people do both. What I'm talking about? Like a negative type of talk to cheer people on. Like I'll give it to you an example. Like like your friend's about to squat, and like you can't. There's no way you're gonna get this. There's no, like some people. I've seen people do that. Like, have you seen it done? Or do you do it? Or do like I hate it.
I've never seen it done to anybody. I know. So I have 2 people that I train with religiously every week. And one of them, is more or less the rabbit that I chase. He's out totaled me, he's out edged me at just about every turn. I've come really close to him. I just out deadlifted him last year, but he's only getting better this year. So I think he'll take that back again. He's going to compete in April. And he'll have a way where he knows how to get to me.
Yeah.
It's not like your mom patting you on the back saying it's going to be okay, but it's like for instance, in October I competed due to the COVID and everything. There wasn't a lot of people on Sunday, so everything was moving kind of quickly, and the meet director was like, if you guys need to take an extra minute or two, it's okay, because we realize it's going to move fast, so there's not a lot of people here. So I'm warming up on squats. I'm about to take my second warm up in my reps, right? Somewhere in the 5s, like 5:15 or something like that. My opener was 6:35. So I think it was, I was like 5:05. I was going to spot for a single. And as that same friend starts wrapping my left knee, Ryan Lawson, you're 4th out. I'm like, 4th out? Another good friend of mine comes over and says, just unwrap his knees. He's like, just unwrap. He's like, sit down, relax, you're fine. So then I take a second. TJ goes to rewrap my knees. As he's rewrapping my knees, he goes, stop thinking about it. Don't be a bitch. You know what to do. You've done this before. Get out of your head. Knock it off. So it's kind of like a collar yank of like, remember who you are.
That's not negative talk. That's not what I'm talking about, though.
No, I know what you mean. Like, well, Mark Bell said that his brother used to tell him that he sucked every night before he competed. He would call him and tell him, you're going to miss.
Yeah, I don't like that.
We don't do that. Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's a benefit to that. I mean, for some people, maybe it works, but I think positivity.
I hear it sometimes, and I'm like, I just cringe. I just hate it.
Like, I don't see that. I don't think I've ever experienced that personally. I'm not a fan. I mean, I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
No, man. I think I mean, be cool to train together someday.
Yeah, this was a good time.
You know, I don't know how. I'll have to have. Now I'm gonna have to have you on mine.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
There's lots I could talk about. I didn't talk about. Yeah, we'll do on your podcast.
no, absolutely, man. Yeah, we'll definitely have to. We'll talk. You know, we can talk more.
What base are you working on?
So I'm I actually work at an Air Force base, but we have helicopters there, Army medevac helicopters.
Yeah.
So it's Barnes Air National Guard Base in Westfield, Massachusetts. So
Okay.
yeah,
I mean, you're not that far away.
no, masshole. No, it's not too far.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely got to train together one day. Sounds awesome. This whole COVID thing is just pissing me off so bad.
Oh,
You know,
dude.
these people I talk to, like, you know, like, oh, you should come to our gym, when COVID's over, I'm just like, oh, it's driving me nuts.
My gym's not like that. So if you ever want to come up here and train, you can come up and train with us. Like,
Yeah.
we don't sound like
I'll reach out to you to come out there one day. It sounds like a lot of fun.
yeah, maybe even like, you know, when it gets a little better, you know, come up, maybe we could train in the afternoon and go out to eat after or something.
Other than going through that middle part of your gym, it sounds good.
Well, there's a back door to our side.
You can have the back door open for me. I'll talk to you. I'll text you, okay?
All right, buddy.
That was a great time. Thanks.
Take care, man.